Jesus. And I just find this frightening because it's not policed in any way, shape or form. Still censor check. It will come at some point, but it's how it comes. That's what we're fed by the government. I live in the real world.
And how did you get into the park home arena?
Who better to buy a caravan from than a gypsy? I was born and bred, live in them, brought up in them, up until my teenage years. And I still lived in a mobile home up until I was 18. Did it start as my passion? I think it did actually, yeah. Before that, I was in other businesses that I went to work just for the money. Nothing else, unadulterated money. I just wanted to do better. I then created a certain amount of wealth, and to me at the time that was all the money in the world. Bought my first park, which was in Romford, and I found something that I was not only good at, I was a natural at. And when people say, oh, was that your successful moment? I had a number of great successes. I'd also had a number of great failings. A man that doesn't fail can never say that he learned, because we can learn by being successful. The pain of failure carves notches out of you, and the deepest cuts are the ones that you remember. And I'll be honest, I wouldn't wish pain on anybody, because sometimes that pain can be so hard. We've all been in difficult places but I've been in positions where I genuinely didn't have enough money to buy a gas bowl, but you end up having to do what needs must at the time. Yeah.
And a lot of people going into the recession next year and the hardship that we're going to have, they're going to be in that very same situation. Cost of living is absolutely through the roof currently. You know, my personal mortgage is due for renewal on the 31st of December. That's going up £600 because of the interest rate changes now. You know, for lots of people, that's going to cripple them. So if they're in that situation based on the experiences that you just mentioned, how do they get themselves out of that?
If people act now, and that doesn't mean draw up the drawbridge and stop spending, okay? That's what the government says we need to do to bring inflation down. Okay. What is inflation?
Take a 99p ice cream. They're no longer 99p anymore. Mm-hmm. So everything gets more expensive over time.
But a 99p ice cream is a 99p ice cream if you want to buy one. You just have to buy a smaller version. It's about cutting our cloth accordingly. Yeah. So for me, and we're already looking at the recession now, how can we improve what we do cost effectively? How can our residents improve what they do cost effectively? And it's about making your pound stretch further. Now, for me, inflation is something that can affect me, doesn't affect me, does affect me. It's something that's sort of out there in the atmosphere that we all know exists. But if you ask 5 people, they'll all give you a different version of what inflation is. If we use the word so flippantly every day, should we not be using it in different effects? For instance, what does a loaf of bread cost me? Yeah. How much does it cost me to earn that? And do you know what it all refers back to? It's time. How much time are you willing to put into something to earn that, to pay for that? So your loaf of bread or your loaf of milk actually costs you more of your life, costs you more of your time. That's how I see inflation. Because if I saw it any other way, it would be just a monetary transaction, which is how the government writes it up. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but all of these things that are put in place, I don't see are put in place for us.